I remember describing the feeling. If you ever play Halo and you put the gravity on like 50 or 75%, and whenever you press A to jump, it's super floaty. So I just felt like I was like walking on the moon, like whoa, whoa.
And we're live.
Hello.
What's
We're
up,
live.
man? How you doing?
I'm doing really well, man. And yourself?
I'm great, yo. First ever podcast. This is exciting. This is
First
uncharted
ever.
territory. I've known you for how many years now? I think out of everyone I know, I think I've known you the longest.
Yeah. I mean, we've been together since birth, pretty much.
To be honest, you've always felt more like a brother than a cousin to me. I think that's because we've always been like that close. I guess going back from like childhood.
Yeah, I agree. 100%, man. I do consider you one of my brothers.
It's crazy too how through elementary school, high school, and even post-secondary, we ended up in different friend groups and stuff, but at the same time, we still always remained close, which I always thought was great.
Yeah, it's the family ties, and plus, when we are born together, we pretty much see each other grow up. So we both follow our own separate paths too, and also grow. We like grow separate because we have our own individual paths, but we also grow together because I guess the whole family thing, and because we know each other and we see each other so much over those 24 years on this earth.
The thing that's crazy about that is that like through all the growth, there's a lot of stuff that's remained constant. For me in particular with you are the best video game player that I know, like by far.
Oh man.
And no, like it's been something ingrained since we were kids. Like I could never beat you at anything. What was the origin story for your love of video games and how you got so good at them? It's something I've always wondered.
Yeah, I was actually pondering that too, actually. But now I'm not good at games anymore.
Really? No,
yeah,
no, you're
at some games I'm actually I suck as that.
Really?
Yeah, for real. That I still thoroughly enjoy playing video games, but I guess the only game I do consider myself a decent or at least above average at is just Smash Bros. Maybe Halo 2, but that's it. Games for me, I'm lagging behind hardcore. But the origin story for me in video games, to answer your question, I guess it started with my parents buying me the first consoles, NES, N64. I mainly remember the N64 though. So yeah, my brother and I grew up with video games, and we would just we'd play that a lot. Bit too much though. Too many video games. When I was thinking about it recently, I think it's because my parents were so busy. They were working the long factory hours, so the video games kind of stepped in for the entertainment thing, equivalent to children and iPads right now.
Right.
Parents could be working really long hours, and sometimes the unfortunate truth is they could be just so tired and so drained from their day at work that they just have to give the kid an iPad and just let that be their entertainment for the day, which is unfortunate.
Well, a lot of parents kind of use it as a cop-out to not be parents. But then there's cases like the parents that we have who are always working to make sure that we have the best lives that we possibly can. It's kind of, it's understated how hard they work. But it's great because that was able to develop your love for it. I remember you are the one who actually got me into Pokemon. You were your brother who had a copy of like Silver or Gold. That's when I fell in love with it.
Yeah. The Pokemon games were so fun too, and Gen 2, Silver Gold, is still best. my favorite.
Absolutely. So it started off with Nintendo, Pokemon, all that stuff. Eventually, your taste started developing more. Now, what are you playing?
Now, oh man, League of Legends, Smash. The people who created League created a game called Valorant. That's a fun shooter. I'm trying to spend less time with video games now, or at least not take video games so seriously anymore.
Right.
You can get really absorbed by the grind of it, I feel. And then you can start turning to video games as a way of escape, or as a way to get that instant boost of mood, or that instant, I guess, just hit of dopamine. Because you smash a few buttons, you get a good feeling in your brain, and then you chase that feeling. Whereas if you were to learn like a practice, like let's say learning piano, it will just kick your ass over and over again because it's so freaking difficult.
Yeah,
I have to level out video games versus an actual discipline or practice. At least with video games, a lot can be skill based too, which I agree with. But for me personally, I don't want to put my time into that. I feel more worked and more accomplished when I put my time towards another discipline or practice. At a certain point, it becomes doing it for the sake of doing it. It's like when you're at a party and you're drinking, and then at a certain point, you're just there's no point to be drinking anymore. You're just drinking because it's in your hand. There's a certain point when you stop tasting the drink, so just stop drinking. I don't know who said that. I think some wise Buddhist master said that, and I just butchered it.
So for those who don't know, you stream on Twitch every so often.
Yeah, Twitch.tv /Sneaker Trees.
Yeah, you say that's more of an escape for you rather than trying to build an audience and a following.
The audience is definitely a bonus too. I wouldn't say it's an escape for me. There's a balance to it, I guess. So with the stream, it's more like one of my hobbies. It's also a way for me to funnel my time from video games into the stream, despite me still really struggling in that area and still playing outside of stream hours. So that's something I got to work on. Yeah, streaming for me is mainly a hobby, I'd say. So the audience is a nice bonus.
Of course, it gives you someone to interact with while you're playing.
Yeah, I see it as a really good way to express my creative energy. There's this the more lively version of me than I am right now. I feel like I'm really monotone right now, but this is who I usually am.
No, it's all good. No, of course. What do you usually stream? Usually League? Do you do Smash, or is it like a variation of like
Smash Bros is the main thing I stream. There's also other games that enable me to read out loud. There's one called Disco Elysium. It's like a point and click RPG. Lots of reading in that game. So games that allow me to play as a character and fit into this role, get lost in it. It's something I enjoy. Yeah, so Smash and single player narrative type games, I guess.
So I know the answer to this next question. What was your first ever experience with weed like?
2014. How old would we be? 19 then?
Yeah, I think so.
18,
Wow,
19
yeah.
around there? Okay,
Yeah.
so 18, 19 years old. Our grandfather just passed away, and we were sitting in the funeral home, and this feeling of like, we should do this now. You know? And so I approached you or Danielle, like, hey, you want to try smoking weed? And first timer vocabulary. Well, you want to try doing weed for the first time, bro? And so we rallied some of the cousins. One of the cousins procured their joint and a joint and a grinder. We smoked it in a park near one of the other cousins' house. It was a really good experience. I was happy to do it with my family the first time. And the feeling it gave me, I remember describing the feeling. If you ever play Halo and you put the gravity on like 50 or 75%, and whenever you press A to jump, it's super floaty. So I just felt like I was like walking on the moon, like, whoa, you know? That was my feeling. And then later on, we went to Krabby Joe's in Brantford, and I ordered like 3 pounds of wings. After the funeral, some of our uncles got a table adjacent to us. And and then yeah, we're just kind of super paranoid, like, oh shit, no, do they know? They're gonna know we suck. But no, they were just uncles talking amongst themselves, so whatever. And that concluded our good night. And that was the first time that I got high, at least. I don't know how your experience was or the other cousins was.
Mine was pretty more or less the same as yours, to be honest, because it was so long ago. It feels like such a blur because I don't really do it as often, if at all, anymore, actually. In college, I did for a bit. As of like the recent present, not really so anymore. One of my favorite standout memories from that night was when you ordered those 3 pounds of wings and then they came to the table and you were like, who ordered those? We're like, you did. You're like, oh, really? He's like, oh shit, okay. And then you proceeded to eat all of them.
Oh yeah, man. You gotta start. I gotta start what I gotta finish. Finish what I started.
Complete respect to that. Yeah, so that night was really the catalyst. I feel like really awoken something in you because you've been on a quite unique adventure since then.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's not really. I mean, I guess it's kind of unique, but
it's pretty. I mean, to me, it is. When you came back from Ecuador, you came back a very different person.
Really?
He seems very enlightened. Something
Okay.
seems different. So,
What did you
anyways,
see? What did you see? I actually want to know about this.
it was like, where did all this wisdom come from? And I was just kind of perplexed.
Yeah, so I went to Ecuador to try ayahuasca. That was a really cool experience. But my main takeaway from that was the people I met. You know, it's the people you meet on the journey, man. And that was the most rewarding. The friends I have worldwide, we still keep in touch to this day. They're all doing wonderful. I hope. The ayahuasca itself, every ceremony I had with it, I ended up falling asleep. I guess I just wasn't ready for it. Yeah. But with the San Pedro that they had with it and the sweat lodge ceremony that involved it too, that's what I liked the most because it was closer to LSD. Was it mescaline? Is like it's similar to like LSD and mushrooms combined with the
Mm.
visuals and with the feeling of hyper empathy and just an inability to lie, just like being faced with truth in your environment and truth within yourself. A lot of beans were spilled during that ceremony for sure.
Were you the only one who was doing it for the first time, or was everyone like a first time
Oh
experience?
yeah, to tons of people, like 99% of them were first timers.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, there was I think one or two people who did it before.
Mm.
Yeah, and there's probably people who went to go do it again, but yeah, the majority of us were first timers.
What made you want to do it? Were you just randomly like searching up random drugs to take or something? Or
No, it's a tiny bit more methodical approach than that.
yeah, no, go for it.
So before that, I think I started experimenting with psychedelics around late 2018, maybe. I think, yeah, I think late 2018, and I think it was first with psilocybin mushrooms. For clarity, the only psychedelics I've ever taken is mushrooms, acid, ayahuasca, San Pedro cactus, which contains mescaline. Ayahuasca is DMT. I'm totally butchering the scientific explanation for that. And finally, the most powerful psychedelic of all for me is marijuana. It all started with psilocybin mushrooms, and the first time I ever did it, I was playing one of my favorite games, The Witcher 3. It's a great single player game. And I just had the visuals of like things bubbling at me. I just felt really happy, but that wasn't the proper way to do it. I had a few more experiences after that. And the main highlight experience I've ever had on mushrooms was one where I had my ass absolutely handed to me because I got way too cocky. That was last year, last September. So I was doing it in a friend's apartment in the Toronto area. I was going through this thought loop, like of four things. Apparently, this is from what he described. I went through this thought loop of four different things. Then I did this 9 times, counted and estimated. But at the end of these loops, I would always lie down on the couch and die. So I would experience death, and my body felt like it was failing me. I feel like I was old when I looked at my skin and my hands. I was old. I was frail. I felt so frail. I lied down. I lost my senses. I lost my hearing. I could just hear. You know when explosions happen in movies and there's like that ringing, that
Yeah.
yeah, I could only hear that. I
Wow.
could see these overwhelming visuals. I might as well have been blind at that point in time. These overwhelming visuals were just like encircling me and until I couldn't see anything. Some of the times I did die, I imagine my friends and family saying like, "It's okay, man. Just let go. It's fine." Another time, I imagine them saying like, "Oh man, he's never gonna get it. You know, he's always just lagging behind." It's like they were always waiting for me to catch up. But yeah, this feeling of dying was very, very strong, very humbling, to say the least, at least.
Damn, man, that's intense.
It was super intense, and it fucked me up for a little while. It's still something I'm processing to this day. Some of the books I read touch up on that, about ego dissolution or ego death, as they call it. The more I learn about philosophy and spirituality, the more connections I see to that trip, and from what I'm learning.
That's that's deep, man. Like I don't even know what to say to
Oh
that.
yeah,
I,
there's a lot to unpack there, but it's pretty much that experience is something that I'm still working on.
yeah, I feel like that initial first experience with like marijuana, it kind of opened up your mind And then it just made you dig deeper within like, okay, what else can I unlock in my brain in terms of like different philosophies in terms of life and like spirituality. So
Mhm.
because I feel like ever since that, as I've come to know you, all of these different experiences that you've put yourself through and gone on, it's allowed you to kind of open your mind up more on a much more expanded basis.
Mm, I hope so at least. I feel like I'm making if any progress. I don't know, but
I
if I
feel like you
think
are.
thank you. That's awesome then. But for that one experience we had when we smoked weed for the first time, that could have gone so many ways. You know,
It
it
could
could
have.
right now I could still be just chasing the feeling of I just wanna float like Halo again. You know, like I'm playing a game again. I just want to escape to that moment again. You know,
Yeah.
there's so many ways that experience could have gone, and I'm very grateful that it came to this. To
Hmm.
feel like I woke up from a 23-year long dream from being on autopilot for the past 23 years.
Wow.
Guess I'm laying a new foundation to go forward from there.
Man, that's super profound. It's crazy how like, one decision on one night that we make spirals into the evolution of your personality and you coming into your own as a human being and as an individual.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm glad it went this way because
Yeah.
I was at one point I was working at Sushi 8, a job which I ended up getting fired at because I was late all the time, insubordination, disrespecting the higher ups. I'm glad I got severely humbled in that one mushroom trip because if I just kept working as a waiter, smoking weed all day, smoking weed once I got home, playing video games for the rest of the day, if that was going to be my life, then holy fuck, I'm so
Be,
glad it's not anymore.
yeah, absolutely.
So grateful I got to wake up at the age of 24. Yeah, was that 24 or 23? Yeah, at the age of 20. I'm so glad I got to wake up at the age of 23 rather than at the age of, who knows, man, 67 if I'm on my deathbed. I don't know
Yeah,
if I'll live that
absolutely.
long either, but if I'm on my
Hmm.
deathbed, all these regrets. I should have loved more. I should have spent more time with my loved ones. I should have never blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I'm glad this experience came now than later.
Good, man. I'm glad too. Going back to your loved ones, how do your parents feel about this path you've gone on when it comes to all the experimental drugs and everything like that?
Uh, I I told them when I was still very new to it, and I was still very I call it like the psychedelic honeymoon. This only happens for some. Okay, you first try it, you have a really great experience. You know, you feel awesome, and so you want the whole world to take it. You know, this has to be it. I think that's what happened with what's his name, Timothy Leary. He was, I think, outspoken is the right word about it, and might have aided in, I think, Richard Nixon banning psychedelics and putting it under like the Schedule One drugs. Anyways, I don't know enough about that to talk more about on that, but when I was still in that psychedelic honeymoon, I thought, well, if I tell my parents, it's going to be okay because if I was like a really shitty kid before and they see this improvement in me now, they can't help but accept that. And that's what happened. So I was really honest with them, like, hey, I'm experimenting with these substances. Just know I'm being safe with them. They're not addictive, and it's helping me out a lot. And I'm happy to say that my relationship with my parents is like the best it's ever been in my
Wow,
whole life
that's great.
now. So yeah, it's awesome.
I didn't even know that. So that's actually like, wow, that's great,
Oh
man.
yeah, surprise. Yeah.
You said before that you were a shitty kid. Why do you say that?
Ah, man, talking back to my parents, just like rampant selfishness, just pride and greed and just gluttony and just taking advantage of people who only love you.
Hmm.
And looking back on that, yeah, it just sucks, but at least they're still around so I can mend those things and be the child that I should have been.
Well, that's good that you're able to come to that realization now. So,
Yeah, right.
do you think any of that had to do with growing up with your brother?
That's a good question. I think about that a lot, actually.
To those who have no context on this situation, Nick has an older brother. If you know him, his name's JR. I don't know if we'll ever watch this.
I hope he
This will be
does.
interesting. This will be interesting. Yeah. JR, he's kind of like the golden boy, so to speak,
What's Golden Boy?
like the poster child of the family, essentially. where if you met someone, you'd be like, "Oh, you're JR's cousin. Oh, you're JR's cousin."
And when they found out my last name, it was like, "Oh, wait a second. Are you related to JR?" Like, "I'm his brother." Like, "I didn't even know he had a brother." Like, "I know, right?"
Yeah, yeah. Did you ever feel like you were in his shadow?
I feel like I'm in my brother's shadow. Hold on. No.
No?
No, even in high school, I felt that we're different people. That even if I was to strive to try to like be him or keep up with him, it's not going to happen. Our passions in life were not aligned. If I were to try and become him, I can only go for so long until I burn out. At least in high school, I had that insight, that
Well, that's
clarity, where I just knew that we were just different. Despite being brothers, we're just different. So it was okay. I didn't feel like I lived in a shadow though.
well, that's good. Did you ever feel like your parents wanted you to follow in his footsteps at all, or?
No, no, I can see why it would seem like that. However,
Yeah.
what my parents were trying to do was trying to instill hobbies in me,
Oh, okay,
which
yeah,
is
that
something
makes sense.
I really liked that they did, and some hobbies stuck. You know, biking stuck with me because video games stuck with me. But yeah, my parents were just trying to give me hobbies, like things to do, which is great, which is what every parent should do. Unfortunately, the hobby that stuck with me too much, the hobby that enveloped me and consumed me, was video
It's
games.
video games, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, all I wanted to do was just go back and play video games. No fault of their own. The hooks just got in me.
You really loved it and became, like, consumed by it.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
There's good and bad to that because it's like it's become, like, such a part of you now, but at the same time, now that you're older, you've been able to kind of realize that this doesn't need to consume my whole life. Back how you were saying up until that first psychedelic experience, you worked as a sushi waiter, you'd go home, smoke some weed, play video games, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, pretty much. Now video games are still with me, but it's not as much, thankfully. I still like playing it a lot though, and a lot of the friendships I've made were based around video games. Now, the real test of friendship, I think, well, one of the real tests is traveling with that friend, but another test is seeing if that friendship can survive offline. And for the most part, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm still friends with the same group from high school, so yeah, I think it will. I always invite them, like, "Hey guys, come up to Ottawa. I'll tour you around. You know, we'll rent some bikes and let's go." Still, the friendships are there, so I'm grateful for that too. But with video games, I feel it just has to take a back seat, and then my main source of dopamine rushes can't be sourced from video games because I feel that's unsustainable.
What advice would you give to someone who is in the scenario that you were in terms of, they felt like they were stuck at a dead end job and then they'd go home, smoke weed, play video games, do whatever. For you, you found that through psychedelics and you found something deeper. Because of that, it was like a domino effect that allowed you to really explore the rest of your personality and find more about who you are.
Mhm.
And it's really put you on a better path in terms of your own self development.
I'd say you can't do shit. Submit to your wretched life. I'm joking.
I was like,
So what I suggest is just trying shit out. Underneath all that those bong rips and video game playing, there is something that you want to try. You want to try kayaking. You want to try fishing. You want to try something, anything that is considered a hobby or a sport. You got to try that shit out. If it clicks with you, if that's something that you really love, you just know it. I had the opportunity to try snowboarding for free here in Ottawa, and so I tried it out. I went to Mont Cascade in Gatineau, like 40-minute drive from here. I got my free snowboard rental. I went on the bunny hill for 40 minutes, and on the carpet lift up the bunny hill, I was looking up videos how to snowboard.
right
I,
before.
yeah, I never got an instructor, and the videos
Wow.
they didn't teach me much. But every time I went down the bunny hill, and every time I fell, I just kept wanting to do it. I don't know. It's hard to describe something that's like that's in your soul. I guess it's hard to describe this psychedelic experience because once you try something out and you know it fits in with your heart and with your soul, you just know. I don't know. There's just this feeling like
Yeah.
I gotta keep doing this regardless.
Yeah.
Like this is just something I gotta keep doing because this feels like an essence of me. Yeah. So that's what I suggest is the thoughts in your mind of doing something other than video games. Entertain those thoughts. There's gonna be people who say like, "Oh yeah, how about you just go shoot up the school then, moron? If I have thoughts of shooting up the school, why don't you go do it?" Huh? Well, obviously, you fucking idiot. That's not what I mean. I mean, I mean, going out and trying out hobbies. Okay, hell, just even Google like hobbies to try, and then you can just go through the list. Like, oh, look at that archery looks fun. I'll just go try that out.
That's the best advice you could give. There's these undescribed inklings that we have in ourselves. It's like, I've always wanted to do this,
Yeah,
but for whatever reason, we never had the courage or that proactivity to actually go out and do it. And then once we actually do it, we either A, fall in love with it and it completely revamps our way of thinking, or
yeah.
we don't like it and then we carry on to the next thing.
Yeah, man. Like going back to snowboarding, the reason why I only had 40 minutes on the bunny hill is because I hesitated so much on taking up that offer. Like, oh, it's like I could just do it later. Yeah, I'm gonna look like an idiot. And I got no one else to go with. No one else I know snowboards. But I thought, fuck it. This is my one opportunity to get free snowboard rental. I gotta do it. And that's all I needed. That whim and that 40 minutes. And boom, I snowboard every season now. I even went to Switzerland to snowboard.
Damn.
And yeah, and I was still a beginner. So that's how much I like it. I would just throw money at it and like, yes, let's just keep doing it. I'm frugal with anything, with every other aspect except my passions.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
will just shill ungodly amounts of money for my passions.
Honestly, that's probably the best way to go about it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And what else is money supposed to be used for other than like just like cover your essentials? And then the
Yeah.
rest is pursue the things you like.
Yeah. Things that make you happy.
Yeah, and don't fall for financial traps, cars and houses and
Yeah.
new technology, all that shit.
With everything that's going on right now, for the time being, what do you have lined up for yourself?
I don't know what's gonna happen in the future. Like, well, no one does. So for now, I just want to get my living situation sorted out, which should take maybe another 4 days max, hopefully, and then go on bike rides and go on walks and play video games. That's it.
Nice. Nice, man.
More so the first two. Yeah, my job is very 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 good with that because so far I can't work right now, but I'm still getting paid, which is nice. So my free time is just meditating, walking and or biking, cooking on some days, taking care of my plants. Yeah, that's it.
Great, man. I feel like that does it. We got some good shit today.
What about you?
Oh, what do I have planned?
Yeah.
Shit. I wasn't expecting you to ask me that.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm in the same boat where it's like I can't really work right now because both of my jobs are dependent on large groups of people,
Yeah.
which I feel like right now with everything that's happened, it's been a blessing in disguise because it's allowed me to kind of discover this
Hmm.
and try to pursue this and see where this takes me.
Yeah. Why a
Um,
podcast? Well, for a creative outlet. What made you want to try it out?
Honestly, the biggest thing was, well, you know my story, how I originally wanted to get into like acting and performing, and
Yep.
like I wanted to be in the creative performing arts, but somewhere along the line, I fell out of love with it. However, the one constant love in my life that remained was storytelling.
Hmm.
And then that's when I realized that a lot of my creative pursuits were very much ego driven. At its core, it wasn't about like the art, so to speak. That's when I came to the realization that the one thing at my core that I have always loved and that's been constant, yeah, is storytelling. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to create a platform in which I could tell the stories of the people who inspire me the most. And
Oh, thank you.
yeah, at the end of the day, everyone has a story to tell. And because we're all such unique individuals, like God made us unique and different from everyone around us, and there's only one us, our story is unique to ourselves. And even though it's our story and it's our own, there are other people who can relate to it on some levels. That's my ultimate goal. Tell the stories of my friends, the people who inspire me the most, and hopefully it hits someone who either similar position in life that they're in or they can just relate to. If our podcast here can like hit an impact and resonate with one person, then I did my job.
Okay. Well, first of all, I like what you said about in God's eyes we are made. Say it again. Sorry, I'm gonna butcher what you just said.
No, it's
Go
all
ahead.
good. There's no one person like us.
There's no one person like us.
Yeah.
There's no one person like us. That line suggests we are unique, but we're also not separate. There's no one person like us.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
like us as a whole, and
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that. I believe that human beings, that yes, we are all equal. We're such complex creatures, and we all have our own individual path to follow. However, regardless of that, we should not see ourselves as separate from one another. That we are all one and the same. We're all so intertwined in this web of consciousness or soul. We're all God's children, whatever way you want to spin it. We're all in the same boat.
Absolutely. We're all on this journey called life. And even though we all have our differences, it's our similarities as well that, bring us together. Our differences are what make us unique, but our similarities are what allow us to relate to other individuals.
Mm-hmm. Even in those differences, you can find common ground in that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Going back to the start of your answer, the realization you had when you saw that your pursuits were ego driven, that development of that filter, that
Yeah.
revelation, well,
Yeah.
where'd that come from? What was the beginning of that?
Um, Honestly, it was something that I felt deep down for a while. I had too much pride to admit.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to quote the first story I wrote on my website,
Okay.
where I realized that the love and adoration that you seek from millions, you can find in one person.
Okay. I like that.
And yeah, once I came to that realization, it allowed me to accept that truth that I was feeling deep down and admit it,
Yeah.
which ultimately led to me deciding to change the path I was on.
That's a really good way to put it. Say that line again. The adoration part.
The love and adoration you seek from millions can be found all in one person.
Did you write that yourself?
Yeah.
Nice. I like that. That's really good. That's really good.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. And when you seek out adoration of everyone, well, first of all, you can't please everyone. It's
Yeah,
impossible to please
absolutely. Yeah.
everyone. But when will you be satisfied? How
Mhm.
many, will you be satisfied at 1 million, 2 million, 20 million? How
Yeah,
many more until you're like, no, I'm full. That's it. I'm full of adoration. I don't need any more.
exactly.
And if that one person, that adoration of that one person is you, fuck it. That's all the more reason to do something. You know,
Exactly, yeah.
you don't need any fans to do something. You just need the love of yourself and
Mhm.
of that activity. Humans are simple. We like to overcomplicate things, but we just need the bare essentials of food, water, shelter, and I guess a purpose.
Yep.
Where do we find that purpose? I'm going to go on some. I can see this is a rant coming up.
No,
We've
it's
been
all
tricked.
good.
We've been tricked by. I feel we've been tricked by Western civilization, or just the constant buildup of history to keep consuming and hoarding. I think I was reading it in the book *Sapiens*, which I have, really good book. I think it all started with agricultural revolution. I'm gonna butcher everything in this book. Oh my god, I'm so bad at explaining. But we settled in villages. We hoard food, and then the people who hoard the most food becomes the one in power. I feel like that hoarding mentality just kind of carried on with us. And somehow in the industrial revolution or whatever, it evolved into rampant consumerism of, buying the newest best shit, being ahead of the curve by having, the top stuff. This is constantly seeking things outside of ourselves when all we really need is just to look within rather than without. Everything we need it's in here. It's already built in with us. I mean, like, life itself is so beautiful. This whole life is such a trip. Yeah, just look outside. It's crazy, man. It's so yeah. Maybe I'm speaking that from like a privileged standpoint, probably. But the world is on fire for some people. But still, I just think if every single person in the world just had a practice, had just 30 minutes a day to look within, the world would be a better place.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that rant was everywhere, and I
It's all good, man. It's all good. I really appreciate not just yours specifically, but in general, like when people let their stream of consciousness flow, there are some nuggets to be found in them.
yeah, I'm still working on organizing those nuggets in my head.
It's all good. We all are.
Mhm.
I think that wraps it up. That was great. That was a lot better than I ever could have expected. I couldn't have thought up a better first guest to have on the debut of this podcast.
Yay. Glad to be the first. Thank you for having me on. I look forward to any future conversation we have.
Absolutely.